everybody? This is XFL Jim. Week 1 recap coming at you. Let's get it done. First off, basic overview of the whole weekend. XFL Week 1 was fantastic. It was better than anything I could have wanted. Oh, I just get sweaty thinking about it, you know? But anyway, 17,000 people at least per game in attendance. Crazy start. And then for Game 1, DC versus Seattle, 3.3 million viewers. This is insane. This league's here to stay, folks. And I'm sticking around with it. So let's just go quick overview, game by game. We start off Seattle versus DC. Crazy way. Austin Proehl gets the first touchdown of the entire season, of the entire XFL program. We have a blocked punt. We got a trick play. We've got crazy stuff going on. It's amazing. We got our first curse. You love it. Cardale Jones looks great. DC looks fantastic. Seattle looks way better than I expected. Game 2, Houston versus LA. Houston looks amazing. PJ Walker, that kid is good. Los Angeles, don't know really how to rate him without Josh Johnson there at quarterback, but he did not look great. Spruce looked good for LA. They show promise, but Houston looks damn good. Third game, New York Guardians versus the Tampa Bay Vipers. First off, New York, their defense looks lights out. It looks like maybe the best defense in the league. Matt McGloin looked poised. Big Loins McGloin, as we're going to be calling him from here on out, I can imagine. I hope he starts slinging it. Just slinging it like crazy. Vipers, what can you say? Trestman looked kind of iffy. Murray looked like the AAF version of himself and not the Georgia version. So, I mean, that's what's going to happen when you get that kind of Aaron Murray. Your offense is just going to stall and not look great. And then finally, last game, we had the Dallas Renegades versus the St. Louis Battlehawks, who are turning into maybe one of my favorite teams. The personality of this team is fantastic. Jordan Ta'amu looked great. Matt Jones, great runner. Jordan Ta'amu, this team's can beat you on the ground, can beat you in the air. Watch out for the Battlehawks. They could be surprising entries into the top 2, I think. Maybe. We'll wait and see. This game was kind of like a punt-off, too. It was the first field possession game of the XFL, and it was exciting. It was the closest game of the weekend. Some killer punts on both sides. Marquette King looks like to be the swaggiest punter I've seen in almost any league ever. And that's the basic overview of the games. So, game number 1, we got DC versus Seattle at DC. Super fun. We got Cardale Jones looking great. Cannon for an arm. He goes 16 for 26, 283 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Has a monster game. Looks good rushing the ball. The guy just looks great. If not for one other player in the weekend, he's probably the best quarterback of the week. So anyway, let's talk about what we found out about the XFL. In-game interviews, really interesting. I think they should probably give the players a little bit more time to rest up before they just stick a mic right in their face.
I don't know. There's just a lot of trying after play. We're trying to make some stuff happen, and they're doing a little extra pushing and shoving. We're trying to get our fucking job done. They're just...
Being able to hear what the coaches are talking about, really cool. It's kind of humanizes them. It's kind of like how I try to interview the raccoons in my raccoon fights I have at my garage. It just makes them more relatable. I was thinking DC would probably try and use both quarterbacks more than they did, but with how Cardale was looking, didn't really need to. He just looked good. He looked flat out good out there. I was surprised with how good the offenses in general were looking. I was expecting the offenses to be down comparatively. Similar to how the AAF was, where offenses were just not up to snuff compared to the defenses. This league looks like it could be really high scoring and really entertaining. Speaking of which, that friggin' super trick play DC did.
Cardale Jones. Cardale Jones, they flip. Back to Rodgers, back to Jones, a man wide open down the sideline. It's Kari Lee. 5, goal line, touchdown.
This game was just it got me so hype. Oh, I just want to scratch. It makes me all sweaty just thinking about it. Having the gambling displayed on the game, the -9.5, and the commentators talk about the over-under was awesome. Appealed to my degenerate senses. But I figured, based on both games, I'm wondering how often teams are going to be going it for 2 or 3. I personally think going for 2 is probably the best bang for your buck. It's not too far away where you're really risking a ton, but I think, what is it? You have a 50% likelihood of getting it, roughly 50% of getting it from the 2-yard line where they have the 1-point conversion. It's a 30% likelihood of getting it from the 2-point conversion. I think that works out. I would just try it from the 2-point almost every time. But, and again, I also gamble away my life on a daily basis. Now, the game opens up. I feel like Seattle's not going to be great. And they come out swinging. They come out swinging hard, man. Let me tell you, friggin' Austin Proehl, the dude looked amazing. He was killing it. I'm sad they had to lose because he just looked so good during the entire game. I was not expecting them to have that powerful of an offense right off the bat. Brandon Silvers looks pretty good at the end part of the first quarter. Partway through the second, he just never was able to string a lot together. Washington just couldn't be consistent all the way through, and then DC kind of turned it on in the second half. This is just back and forth for the most part, and then eventually DC just gets away from them. What did we learn? We learned that the XFL is going to be way better than the AF. That's number one, first and foremost. Number two, we learned that I love to gamble on the XFL, and the defenders, I really like being able to hear what the coaches speak. It humanizes them, it gives you a little bit of insight, and you can pretend like you know what they're talking about, even if you don't. Because to me, it's basically like a second language. I can speak some ferret and a little bit of squirrel, but I can't fully speak coach. It's something I gotta work on, you know. And also a friggin' block punt. How about that?
Punter back in his own end zone, and the punt is blocked. Brock Miller has his punt blocked and recovered for the touchdown.
I thought DC would use their quarterbacks a little bit more, but they didn't really need to. Cardale looked good enough on his own. He was, aside from a couple bad throws here and there, he was pretty much on the money. And when he would run, he could just truck dudes. Big quarterback coming in. I feel like I was right in my assessment that DC and Houston are probably the two best teams. I like what these teams have to offer. DC just seems like an all-around pretty good team. That offense was nice, and when they get revving, they go fast. One other thing we found out about the XFL is even if the games are low scoring, which they weren't in the end, but even if they are, the pace of the game, the way it's designed, the rules and everything, make it feel quicker. I also liked how they weren't calling that many penalties, especially pass interference. I like letting them go for it, you know, like go hit, go hurt.
Knopf looking left, Smallwood. That one floated out there and too much air underneath it.
They flip it to Pumphrey. Takes a big smack at the 40-yard line.
Gets me jacked just thinking about it, guys. Let me tell you. That's it for DC versus Seattle, or Seattle versus DC, I should say, since it was at DC. Overall, great way to start. Super fun game, back and forth. The cursing, the crazy interviews, hearing the coach talk, Pep Hamilton just sitting on the bench there. That was something else. Next game we're talking about, LA versus Houston, was kind of fun and looking promising into the halftime. And then Houston, man, just friggin' just drilled them. Drill, baby, drill. Yeah, LA without Josh Johnson, just not looking great. Knopf only had, it was less than a week. He had less than 5 or 6 practices. I think for how much time he got with the team, he looked pretty good. Houston, man, just crazy. That defensive front, way better than I thought they would be. I thought this would just be like an explosive offense sort of team. I did not expect this defense to be as good as it is. They are my pick for the bet. I think Houston might win it all based on 1 week. Sammy Coates had some grease on his hands. Apparently, he dropped a couple of easy passes, and then the guy's good. You know he's good. It's just he's not consistent. And PJ Walker, man, he might be one of the best looking quarterbacks in this league. Him and Cardale both looked great today. And by today, I mean yesterday. And by yesterday, I mean Saturday. PJ, man, dude, just he makes me want to just So who do I want to talk about? Friggin' Butler, getting all the carries, getting a couple receptions. The story's P.J. Walker, if I'm being honest. Oh, Spruce for Los Angeles. I honestly think if Sammy Coates can step it up this game, and maybe today has 3 of the best wide receivers in the whole league. Coates, possibly. Spruce was amazing, first 100-yard receiver. No one done it yet. He's the inaugural. Houston just, once they turned it on, man, there was nothing anyone could do. I can't wait to do this every week, and I'm just so happy. I'm so excited. My issue with Los Angeles is they look good for spurts, but they're not consistent. They can't string things together. They're just, I'll give them this week. I'll chalk it up to Josh Johnson being injured, but I want to see some improvement next week. I want to see it because I like Winston Moss. The guy looks like a baller. LA, you're on the hot seat right now. For now, we'll see how a couple of these other games turn out in the next week or so. But LA right now, hot seat for you. Houston though looks like the all-around best team. They got great defense, great offense. The special teams. Speaking of which, these kickoffs. How about these kickoffs, guys? I think they're kind of interesting. I'm digging the whole having to wait till the ball comes down and then the penalties for touchbacks. That could be major. LA's defense, I think, might be getting some flack that's a little undeserved. They were on the field like the whole game. I'd put that one more on LA's offense and specifically missing Josh Johnson. I think they could still be a good team. I'm wanting to see them next week. This Saturday slate had a lot of really good moments. Had the trickeration right there with the double reverse pass, immediately followed up by a touchdown. Houston, man, like, this team might be the best team. And if Sammy Coates can actually catch a ball, like, watch out. Talking about the Guardians, the upset, crazy. The Rats did it, guys. How cool is that? This is our cheese. And then we're like, no. Aaron Murray looking like his AAF self, not his Georgia self, so that's not great for the Vipers going forward. I can't believe they didn't put in Taylor Cornelius. Or just even have Flowers in there. When they had Flowers just kind of in there running the game, when they were just mostly running in the fourth quarter, it seemed like the Guardians couldn't do anything. So the Vipers have a lot of figuring out to do at the quarterback position because Aaron Murray, man, he looks so good to start out with, just throwing darts. And then he has one little bit of adversity, and he just seems to, just go back into the yips. Matt McGloin on the other side of that looked poised, looked good, throwing bombs out there.
4-man rush, some pressure, steps away, going deep. He's got a man, McKay. He's diving.
He's going to be a good captain for the Guardians, I think. It's probably good for a team in this league to have an older quarterback that has some experience behind him. So I feel like he's an underrated aspect of this New York Guardians team. The non-underrated aspect of this team was the defense. Holy cow. That defensive backfield just breaking up passes, interceptions like crazy.
Murray on the fake, pressure in his face, and he completes it. Truesdale fumbled the football, is picked up by New York with room to run. Summers working his way to the end zone.
And then the defensive front, out of nowhere, just coming in. They had about 5 sacks. I expect it to be pretty good, but I did not expect it to be this good. Guardians are going to be fun to watch, I think. Darius Victor, powerful runner. They got a pretty good stable back there for him. And then you have McKay, great receiver. Showed off. It was awesome. The only weak part of the Guardians' defense seemed to be around the fourth quarter, the run game started to kind of affect him a little bit. But that might just be that Quentin Flowers is a crazy athlete and they were just kind of chipping away at him just little by little. They might have been also sort of a more prevent style defense. Who's to say? They look stout. S-T-O-U-T. Stout. The only other thing with that is it's hard to tell how good the Guardians defense is. They're going to be good. I'm just calling that right now. It's hard to tell if they're going to be great or if Tampa's offense is just going to be that bad. I think with Aaron Murray, it's just going to be pretty rough for Tampa. They just kept having mistakes and shooting themselves in the Renegades without Landry Jones looked all right, but their offense could get down the field, but they just couldn't score without him. They need him back. They need him back probably for week 2. because them versus LA might just be like a giant shit show. But for St. Louis, Jordan Ta'amu, Matt Jones just running all over him.
Dallas in all black. Ta'amu trying to take off. He will pick up a first down and plenty more. Inside the 10 before he's taken down. It's a 35-yard scramble.
De'Mornay Pearsonell having a night receiving. He had the one muff punt, but I think he made up for it with his receptions and things like that.
Pressure from the edge. Ta'amu to the slant. That's good for a St. Louis first down and plenty more. De'Mornay Pearsonell to the 40. Stays on his feet before he's taken down.
Overall, this should be very exciting for the XFL. My power rankings are probably as follows. You got Houston number 1, DC 2, St. Louis 3, New York 4, Dallas at 5, Seattle at 6, LA at 7, and down at the bottom you got the Tampa Bay Vipers, who looked just rough. My takeaway right now is I am blown away. This is more than what I could have expected from the XFL. Like, I like the AAF, but this is like something else entirely. This season's going to be special, guys. I can tell you. I'm going big. The XFL's going big. I'm going with them. If you don't want to join or be part of this XFL experience, then get out the fucking way. And if the rest of the season's like this, let me tell you, it just gets me so excited. I don't know what I'm going to do. I got so much energy. I got so much XFL energy. I got so much XFL gym energy right now.